Okay. So private pay. Okay. Well, we're just going to assume that these are wealthy people in our case study then.
Right, yeah. Yeah,
We're
you
just.
have to have money. I always say, because remember, I'm old enough to be your grandmother. I've been around the block. I've been a registered nurse for 47 years.
Wow,
So
yeah.
I always say it's tough to be old. It's even tougher to be old and poor because you have no options.
That's so true.
It's either home or a SNF. And sorry, do you know what a SNF is? That's a skilled nursing facility. That's a nursing home.
Okay.
So there are no options. I live in Naples, and that's the land of the wealthy. And I can think of one community in Naples that has 3 Medicaid apartments. The rest of them are private, and every other building is private pay.
Wow.
And there is something called Medicaid diversion, where you can move in and Medicaid pays whatever they pay, and then you pay maybe $1,000 a month on top of that. But
Right.
those Medicaid diversion places are very few and far between.
Oh,
And
okay.
usually, most of the apartments are private pay, and they might be, if there are 30 apartments, 4 of them might be Medicaid diversion.
Okay.
I know what I was going to say. Now, that 3,500, 6,500 is just for your rent. And then on top of that is a fee for level of care. So everything we do for you generates points. So if we do your laundry, meaning your sheets and your towels, and then we do your personal laundry once a week, that's 2 points. If you're on a regular diet, that's a point. If you are continent, that's a point. If you don't need any help with your business affairs, your kids take care of it, that's a point. So everything that we have on our level of care assessment generates at least 1 point.
Okay.
So by the time we finish that assessment, you're going to have 20 or 22 points without us doing really anything for you. That would be a level 1, which is free.
Okay.
The minute you need help with a service, it's going to generate more points. And it depends on the community. I don't even know what San Pablo charges. I think they charge $300 for level 2 and $650 for level 3 and $900 for level 4, but I'm not sure. And this is not just Legend Senior Living.
Right.
Every assisted living does the same thing. They
Okay.
all charge the level of care. And then there's a med management fee. If we assist you with your meds, it's another, in San Pablo, it's another $300 a month.
Wow.
In my building in Naples, it was $500 a month. So let's assume that you have a $4,000 a month apartment, and we're helping you with your meds. So that's $4,300, and then you're a level 3, which is another $1,000. So now it's $5,300 a month.
Mm-hmm.
Okay? And when you move into assisted living, and again, this is every company in the state, one of the pieces of paper that you sign is a piece of paper that reads, I am aware that the person helping me with my medications is not a licensed person.
Oh, okay.
That prevents the families from suing any of us when the med tech makes a mistake. The truth is, the nurses make more med errors than the med techs do.
Wow.
Okay? You do not have to be a nurse to give meds in assisted living.
Right. Okay.
And the reg is you don't have to have a nurse in assisted living. You have to have a nurse available by phone. Legend is unusual. We have nurses in all of our buildings 24/7, but that is very unusual.
Okay.
Harbor Chase of Jacksonville, which is down the street. And I don't know if it's still like this, but I used to be the regional nurse. The day nurse came in at 7 o'clock in the morning. The evening nurse worked 3 p.m. to 8 p.m. When the evening nurse left at 8 p.m., there was no nurse until 7 a.m. the following morning.
Oh, wow.
And that's very common because the regs say you don't have to have a nurse. Assisted living is more of a social model than it is a medical model.
Right. And so for the memory care...
Wait 1 second.
Oh.
The state would say, if you need enough care to require a nurse, then you belong in a SNF. All right, now ask me your question.
Okay. I was just thinking about the memory care. You still have one nurse over there, or the memory unit?
We do, but you don't have to.
But you guys do, though.
We do, yes.
Okay.
We actually only use nurses on our memory care neighborhoods to give meds, but there is no reg that says it has to be a nurse. Every other company I've worked for, we used a med tech to give the meds on memory care.
Okay.
Okay.
Wow. Okay, cool. And then, okay. I thank you. That's good for that question, I feel like. And let's see, the public relations and marketing.
Okay. So every assisted living community has what's known as a director of sales and marketing.
Okay.
Many of them have an assistant to that director, and that assistant is the person who goes out and does outside sales and marketing. What they do is they go to the hospitals, they bring their business cards, they bring some cookies, and they meet with the, what are they called? Case managers. They meet with the case managers, they introduce themselves, they give them the cookies, they give them their business cards, they say, look, if you have anybody that needs placement, please call me. There are 3 types of licensure in the state of Florida. Standard, LNS, Limited Nursing Service, and ECC, Extended Congregate Care.
Okay.
Depending on what type of license you have is what kind of care you can deliver. So in a standard licensed building, if somebody wants to move in who's on oxygen, the only way they can move him in is if he can put the oxygen cannula in his nose, adjust the leader flow, change the oxygen canisters, or monitor the concentrator.
Okay.
That's a standard license. In an LNS license building, you can have somebody with oxygen that you do it because the person can't.
Oh, okay.
If you have an ECC building, you can take somebody with a feeding tube, but only with an ECC license. So my mother gets a feeding tube. I want to put her in one of my buildings. I can't because none of my buildings have an ECC license.
Okay.
So she has to move to Harbor Chase of Jacksonville because they have an ECC license, or at least they did when I was their regional nurse.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Okay.
Now, the marketing director plans. She has an SOE, a scheduled event, and usually at least once a month, she plans an event for outside referral sources or outside. She can plan one of 2 ways. Either it's an outside event and she invites all the case managers in town, the doctors, vendors, like physical therapists, occupational therapists, speech therapists, or she can have an outside marketing event where anybody who has expressed an interest in moving in, they've made a phone call to her, they've done a tour, she invites them to come to the community.
Oh, very cool. Okay.
Yeah. And because the name of the game is census.
Right.
The goal is to be 100% at all times. It's harder to stay at 100% than it is to get to 100%.
Okay. Wow. All right, very good. Okay, so the next one is relationships to other agencies within the community.
Okay, so again, this is the marketer, oftentimes the residence director, and the healthcare coordinator. They are supposed to go out and do 5 to 15 cold calls a week, where the HCC would take her business cards, go over to Mayo Clinic, which is right down the street, either make an appointment, which is very hard to do, so then they just walk in and say, I'd like to see the case manager, and they try to get 5 minutes of her time.
Right.
Hi, I'm Andy. I'm the healthcare coordinator at Windsor of San Pablo. Just thought I'd bring you some cookies, give you my business card. We have a limited nursing service license, which means we can take more acute residents. If you need me, please reach out to me. I'm more than willing. The name of the game is, if we get a call from a case manager to see a potential resident, we should be at the hospital within an hour after receiving the call.
Oh, wow.
Because we are not the only ones who's getting that call. The case manager is probably calling 5 of the nearby assisted livings. And whoever gets there first usually gets the resident.
Wow.
So it's not something that you say to the case manager, I'll be out in a couple of days. In a couple of days, that person's already been placed, and you've lost that resident.
Wow. Okay. Okay. So the next one is projected needs of agency. And my teacher said that could mean either way, the needs that the patient needs from the agency, or she said, I guess generally speaking, what the agency needs.
Okay, so when the person moves in, we do what's called the level of care assessment. It's the form I was talking about earlier.
Right.
What we say to the resident and the family is, based on what you've told me, this is the care we're going to give Mom. This is how much it's going to cost you a month, either nothing or X amount of dollars. In 30 days, we're going to meet again, because Mom might get better, she might get worse, she might stay the same, and we're going to do this whole process all over in 30 days. And then after 30 days, we're going to do it every 4 months, unless there's a significant change in her condition, and then we'll do it then. Based on what we see when we do the assessment, that tells us, do we need to call in PT or OT or speech? Do we need to do a urine because Mom, who's been alert and oriented, is now a bit of a space cadet? And I'll just teach you one thing if you haven't already learned this. And I'll give you the scenario I give every potential HCC.
Mm-hmm.
So I say to them, okay, Andy is your 85-year-old resident who normally walks around the community like she owns the place. She's alert and oriented.
Mm-hmm.
Aide comes to you and says, I don't know. There's something wrong with Andy. I can't put my finger on it. She's not as sharp as she usually is. Nothing has changed with her meds. Her vital signs are fine. She hasn't had a fight with her husband or kids or any of the other residents, but she's just not as sharp as she usually is. And then I say to the potential HCC, what's wrong with me? And the answer is a UTI. Right. 99 and 9/10% of the time, when somebody in their 70s or older, the only symptom they have is mental status changes, it's a UTI.
Yep.
If you're age, you get a UTI, you get burning, urgency, frequency, pain in your back. They don't get any of those symptoms. They get the confusion. They get the not as sharp as they usually are.
Right.
So, if in fact we thought that was going on, we reach out to the doctor and ask for a urine so that we could test it. It depends on the resident as to what agency we're going to call. Maybe they have a skin tear. Now, because of the assisted living laws, we can do emergency first aid, and that's all right now. So